Speaking of real-life superheroes time, we have one today. Of course, she was one of the co-organizers of the Women's March, Tamika Mallory. They are now going after the National Rifle Association. You know, everybody else is scared of the NRA because of all their money. Well, the NRA put out this video attacking demonstrators who fight against police brutality and other injustices. Let me play a little bit of that ad they put out. Guys, roll it.
I'm talking to you, Tamika Mallory. You write a letter to the NRA on behalf of the Women's March claiming our Clenched Fist of Truth ad was an attack on minority communities. You call it dangerous and demand it be taken down? I'm here to tell you, not a chance.
All right, that was the second video by some dude. Is it Grant Stinkfield? Something like that, whatever. Yep. I invited him on the show, Tom. He ain't showed up. I wonder why. So joining us right now is Tamika Mallory. So Tamika, what is this protest y'all have planned for the NRA?
Well, you know, first of all, we couldn't allow the NRA to put out the first ad, which is very, very dangerous. It pretty much says, meet protesters with arms, you know, and this is a powerful organization that we know should be doing nothing but talking about safety and de-escalation. And so it puts people, protesters, in danger, and we wanted to make sure folks were aware. So we sent them a letter saying, here's our 3 demands. Take the ad down, apologize for it, and since y'all are so busy doing ads and, you know, having so much to say about protesters, why don't you speak on behalf of Philando Castile, who was a card-carrying registered gun owner?
And the fact of the matter is, the NRA said nothing about the shooting death of Philando Castile, even though, as you said, the same thing happened when John Crawford was killed in Beaver Creek, Ohio, at the Walmart. A brother who was in a store, an open carry state, who was carrying an air rifle in a Walmart on a cell phone. He gets gunned down. Again, NRA says nothing. 2 black men, okay, shot down, NRA silent.
Right, but they have something to say about how people should approach protesters, right? And so we wanted to get that information out there. So we send this letter, and instead of hearing back from them saying either let's sit down or you can kiss my behind, we're not going to talk to you at all, they created this second ad, which is what you saw, where they put my face in it specifically as if they were saying, here's the person for you to target, as well as, you know, some other activists and other people. And so, you know, we're not going to be silenced. It's not like you can't, they were talking to the right folks. We're like, well, actually, we're coming to your headquarters. So because one, we want you to know that you can't silence us, but also we need to make sure there's a spotlight put on the hypocrisy. People need to know. I had a conversation with Philando Castile's mother, and she said, my son was executed. The NRA has done absolutely nothing for him, and we're walking to the Department of Justice to say, oh, you're not off the hook either. We want a federal indictment of the officer who shot and killed and executed Philando Castile.
Now, when is this protest taking place?
On Friday. We will be gathering at 10 a.m., 9 a.m., excuse me, outside of the NRA headquarters. And we're walking 17 miles from the NRA all the way to the DOJ all day on Friday.
So the NRA's headquarters is located
in Fairfax, Virginia.
And then, so you are going from there to DOJ. Right,
but let's just be clear. If you can't make the walk, just meet us at the NRA, stand with us there, or you can be at the vigil at the DOJ on Saturday at 10 a.m.
And the thing here is that a lot of people, again, especially a lot of politicians, they are scared to death of the NRA. They're scared of their money. They're scared they're going to lose their re-election. And that's how the NRA has punked a lot of folks.
Absolutely. And I think for us, you know, coming off of a march where we had nearly 5 million people across the world come out, we're not even going to try to compare to those numbers. A very historic occasion. But we do know that there are people of good moral conscience that will be out in the summer of resistance, and we wanted them to be aware that there's danger, that a powerful organization told people, get your gun and show up wherever the protesters are. And we know, Roland, that there has, in fact, been a surge in violence, racially charged violent attacks towards people. Even at Donald Trump's rallies, things happen.
And also, in fact, in Minneapolis, where the protest, Black Lives Matter protest, there was some several white gentlemen who fired shots at those protesters. They were actually caught. Now you also have this cop in Baton Rouge who was injured by some other shooter who belonged to a white supremacist militant group, and now he's suing DeRay McKesson and other Black Lives Matter activists, saying y'all created the climate for me to get shot.
Right, and Women's March organizers had a protest in Nevada just 2 weekends ago, and there were actually people there with guns in counter protests with them. So this is very serious. This is not like something that you can just ignore. We had to be clear about, ensuring that people saw
Tom, go ahead.
this.
Tamika and Roland, isn't this, when you threaten somebody like that, isn't that illegal?
Well, I don't know if it's illegal, but I'll tell you this much. If you or I did it, Tom and Roland, we'd be in jail for domestic terrorism.
Right.
Are there any members of the NRA that have come out in support of you and saying, this is something you ought to talk about?
So we have seen a lot of NRA members say, you know what, I'm a card-carrying NRA member, but this ad is dangerous and we don't support it. And we hope that those folks will join us out there on Friday.
Friday, 10 a.m. Stand with Tamika and others. NRA, Wayne LaPierre. Now, if y'all want to come on time, join on TV One, I'll be more than happy to have a conversation.
I'm telling you.
But let's be clear. Tamika ain't a scared sister, and I ain't a scared brother.
All right.
Well, we've told Dana Lash that we're ready to debate anytime, so I'm waiting on her to call.
Let's roll. Tamika, thanks so much.
Right.
Thanks.
All right, folks, let's go to our panel and talk about the NRA protest. Spencer, Liz, as well as Greg Carr. When the NRA dropped this ad, again, it was all targeting folks exercising their First Amendment rights. Right. And they tried to equate all of these protests and you're so-called, first of all, you said, their president, speaking of President Obama, and then equating the protest by saying they're all violent and they just been tearing up stuff. And you're going, really? And essentially what they're saying is, the hell with the First Amendment, we prefer the Second Amendment.
Well, I mean, anytime, we're talking about social forces, and they have to be raised to a level of contradiction. The NRA is a lobbying organization, but it's also a home for a lot of white nationalism. And what Tamika and them are doing is going to force them to reveal those contradictions. And if they heighten it enough, if we heighten it enough, it'll expose them. And then ultimately, you got to separate that out from the law. And they hurt. Why? They responded publicly. Yeah, they're not ignoring this.
Well, I'm a card-carrying member of the NRA and the conservative, and my peers, we're not white nationalists.
Exactly.
But as a woman of color, that ad is concerning. And as someone who wants to ensure that all of our constitutional rights are protected, the First and the Second, I think it's important for conservatives to hear Tamika, especially those in the in the city, those who look like us, and to support this march, because it is important to exercise your First Amendment right. But there are many Republicans who will say, or many NRA members who will say that that ad was in response to the violence and the rhetoric that is focused on Trump supporters. There have been Trump supporters who've been hit and who've been beat up just for wearing the hats.
Okay, but what is your business? Is your business to protect the Second Amendment, or is your business to defend Donald Trump? Part of this is the NRA losing its way. It should be out there defending Philando Castile, not saying Black lives don't matter.
They're not going to do that.
They should be checking government abuse, not endorsing police abuse of black folks.
Well, they have their flaws, so does the Women's March. If you think about the Women's March in the first time, there were a lot of conservatives who said it was only for certain women, not pro-life women, not conservative women, because they were not welcomed and they were not allowed to participate. So at the end of the day, I think it's important.
The Women's March was in January.
Right.
That ain't got jack to do with this topic.
It's the same organization.
No. It doesn't matter if it's the same organizers, but this is the issue. And the issue here is that the NRA has said nothing about a Philando Castile. If you are supposedly all about the Second Amendment, you should be standing up for him. If you're all about open carry states, they should have been standing up for John Crawford. Now, there were some NRA members who were standing with John Crawford's family in protesting. But was Wayne LaPierre and the NRA officially doing so? Absolutely not.
No, because that's not what they're all about.
No,
they're also about membership. And they also talk to a certain segment of their membership. And I'm not apologizing for them, nor am I a representative of the agency, of the organization.
But they ain't talk. But they not. But if you are the NRA and you're about the Second Amendment, then you should be saying something when a card-carrying person has a concealed permit and then he says I have it and he gets killed. But to say nothing, that tells me you're not serious about the Second Amendment.
Or
final comment.
It's revealing the contradictions again. again, the NRA isn't about just the Second Amendment. It's about preserving a certain image of America. Liz, you're not with them. And by pulling your support out, what you're doing is heightening that contradiction. They're going to have to pick. Are you for a government for the people, other people, by the people, or are you for preserving white nationalism? Make them make the choice.
Weekdays on TV One.
I will never lie to you.
Oh my God.
Roland Martin.
He doesn't want to talk to us. He wants to ignore us.
Uncensored.
Hell no. That ain't gonna cut it, boo.
Unapologetic.
No, that is fundamentally false. You are wrong.
Unfiltered.
He wants an America where we all look alike. He ain't talking about black people.
Unrelenting.
You better go work out, because you got a fight on your hands.
NewsOne Now with Roland Martin. Weekdays at 7 a.m. on TV One.